Ever wondered how humans survive when the thermometer plunges to a bone-crushing -70 degrees Celsius or -94 degrees Fahrenheit? Imagine daily life in Arctic stations where frostbite isn't just a risk, it's reality. This video, inside the insane Arctic station surviving -70 degrees Celsius, dives into the engineering, endurance, and sheer willpower it takes to live at Earth's coldest extremes. Here's one thing to note. The Arctic is an ocean of ice surrounded by land and people, while Antarctica is a frozen continent with only research stations. The Arctic sits at the very top of the Earth, at the North Pole, where the ice floats on the ocean, and countries like Canada, Russia, and Norway circle around it. In contrast, Antarctica lies at the bottom of the planet, at the South Pole, where a massive landmass is buried under miles of ice. Nobody lives there permanently. Only scientists rotate in and out of remote research bases. How do you survive when the world outside can freeze your skin in seconds, where the air is so cold it feels like knives in your lungs? At -70 degrees Celsius or -94 degrees Fahrenheit, car engines crack, steel snaps, and boiling water turns to snow mid-air. Yet, hidden in the Arctic, entire stations stand defiantly against this frozen wilderness. These aren't just buildings. They're lifelines for scientists chasing answers about climate, the cosmos, and even the Earth's future. Inside, every breath, every meal, every laugh is a battle against nature itself. Welcome to the front lines of human endurance. Arctic stations at the edge of survival. Step outside an Arctic station, and the first thing that hits you isn't the silence, it's the wind. A howling, invisible force that can strip heat from your body faster than fire burns. Temperatures sink so low that even machinery groans in protest. Metal becomes brittle, fuel thickens, and a simple walk outside can feel like stepping onto another planet. Isolation only sharpens the bite. For months at a time, darkness swallows the horizon, cutting people off from the sun, the seasons, and sometimes even from themselves. So why in the world would anyone live here? Because the Arctic is more than just frozen emptiness. It's a front row seat to our planet's future. Stations perched in this desolate landscape collect priceless data on climate, track shifting ice sheets, and monitor atmospheric patterns that affect the entire globe. Strategically, they're footholds in one of Earth's last contested frontiers, where nations quietly compete for resources and influence. It's not like the South Pole, where scientists endure similar extremes in the name of discovery. But here in the Arctic, survival feels even more personal. The icy winds don't just test equipment, they test the human spirit. And honestly, would you dare step outside? To survive the Arctic, it isn't just about grit, it's about genius design. In Antarctica, many stations stand on stilts to avoid being buried in snowdrifts. In the Arctic, it's different. Most research happens on icebreakers, floating stations locked in sea ice, or permanent land bases in places like Svalbard, Greenland, or northern Canada. Walls and windows aren't ordinary either. They're built with reinforced insulation so thick it traps every ounce of heat inside. Triple glazed windows seal against the bitter wind, while airlocks prevent precious warmth from leaking out when someone dares to step outside. Inside, temperatures are kept livable not by chance, but by relentless heating systems that must run constantly. One breakdown at the wrong moment could mean disaster. Power is the beating heart of survival. Most stations rely on fuel flown or shipped in during the short summer. But even here, efficiency is king. Waste heat from those roaring engines is recycled to warm living quarters and melt ice for water. Backup systems stand ready, because in this world, redundancy isn't a luxury, it's survival insurance. And then there's safety. Ironically, the greatest threat inside these frozen fortresses isn't the cold, it's fire. In a sealed, oxygen-rich environment filled with flammable fuel, a single spark could turn catastrophic. That's why alarms, extinguishers, and emergency drills are drilled into daily life. Imagine having to fight flames when stepping outside means instant frostbite. Terrifying, right? In the Arctic, the American research vessel RV Sikuliak serves as a floating ice-breaking laboratory. Operated by the University of Alaska at Fairbanks and launched in 2014, this $200 million ship can plow through polar ice while hosting 24 scientists and high-tech gear for deep-sea sampling, seafloor profiling, and remote-operated vehicles. Better yet, it's optimized for minimal environmental impact, including low underwater noise to protect marine wildlife. It's a rare, hardworking research vessel that crosses boundaries, not just geographic, but scientific too. On the other hand, far from the ships, temporary bases like the Borneo Ice Cap are set up directly on drifting sea ice near the North Pole. Built fresh each spring, it's little more than a cluster of heated tents and a short ice runway for supply planes. Yet for a few short weeks, it becomes home to scientists studying everything from atmospheric shifts to the movement of sea ice itself. Life here is extreme. The ground beneath constantly cracks and shifts. Temperatures plunge far below freezing, and the camp itself can vanish in a storm. It's a fragile foothold at the very top of the world, a reminder of just how hostile and fleeting life on the ice can be. Of course, even the best engineered station is useless without the lifelines that keep it running: food, water, and human connection. Designing the building was only half the battle. Sustaining life inside is the true test. Take supplies, for instance. In most parts of the world, you can pop down to a store when you run out of milk. In the Arctic, resupply missions happen once or twice a year, often by cargo plane or icebreaker ship during the narrow window of summer. Every box of cereal, every can of beans, every drop of fuel must be carefully planned months in advance. One miscalculation could mean an entire winter of shortages. Imagine rationing powdered milk because your shipment didn't arrive. Would you cope? Water is just as precious. Melting ice and snow becomes the main source, but it requires constant energy to turn frozen wastelands into something drinkable. Waste is recycled ruthlessly. Nothing goes to waste when survival depends on it. Communication has evolved dramatically. In the early days, in Antarctica, scientists at the South Pole relied on ham radio relays, passing messages like whispers across the ether to loved ones thousands of miles away. Today, satellites provide email, video calls, and even internet, though connections are often slow and unreliable. But when you're stranded in a world of endless night, even a pixelated call home can mean everything. Medical care? Stations often house a small clinic, sometimes staffed with only one doctor. They must be prepared for everything from frostbite to appendicitis, with evacuation often impossible during the long winter. Psychological well-being is just as critical. Months of darkness and isolation weigh heavily, so crews get creative. Movie nights, chess tournaments, even bizarre traditions like making ice cream from tongue depressors to spark laughter. It's a strange paradox, cut off from the world, yet tied to it more tightly than ever. Every supply drop, every radio call, every improvised game is a reminder that in the Arctic, survival is never a solo act. It's a fragile chain linking humans across the planet. Supplies may keep the station running, but what about the people inside it? Life in the Arctic isn't just about surviving. It's about creating a rhythm in a place that constantly tries to break you. Get into the station's sub-freezing tunnels and common areas, and you'll notice that routine is everything. Days blur together in endless darkness, so schedules become sacred. Breakfast at the same hour. Lab work, maintenance checks, exercise, dinner. Reputation isn't dull, it's survival. Without it, the isolation starts to creep in. But even stepping outside requires preparation that feels almost ritualistic. Dressing in layers isn't just advice, it's gospel. Thermal base, fleece mid, down outer shell. Miss a step and frostbite is waiting. Tools and vehicles must be thawed before use. Otherwise, they're frozen solid, useless lumps of metal. And then there are the frozen beards, immortalized in stories from explorers like Paul Seipel, whose face turned into an icicle factory within minutes. Out here, even a smile can literally freeze. Inside, people find ways to fight the psychological grind. Movie nights are more than entertainment, they're an escape from the monotony. Chess tournaments stretch across weeks. each move debated over streaming mugs of coffee. Holiday celebrations become miniature lifelines. Carving a makeshift Christmas tree out of cardboard can feel like a grand event. Laughter, oddly enough, is as important as heat. A well-timed joke, a prank with frozen clothing, or even inventing silly traditions helps crews feel human in an inhuman place. Without these small sparks, morale can sink faster than the temperature outside. So yes, life is hard, but people adapt, stitch together routines, and even find joy in the strangest corners of the world. And it leaves you wondering, could you laugh, play chess, or even smile when your breath turns to ice before it leaves your lips? All these routines, the frozen beards, the movie nights, those aren't just about killing time. They exist so the real mission can continue: science. Because if the Arctic and Antarctic are brutal to live in, they're priceless for what they reveal. Look up at the sky from these stations, and you're staring through some of the clearest windows into the universe. The air is so dry, the nights so long, that astronomers can peer deeper into the cosmos than almost anywhere else on Earth. From mapping distant galaxies to hunting for clues in the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background, the radiation left over from the Big Bang, these icy outposts give us answers about where the universe began. Imagine that, freezing at -70 degrees Celsius or -94 degrees Fahrenheit, while unlocking the secrets of eternity. But it's not just space. The atmosphere itself holds mysteries. At the South Pole, scientists once fired radio waves skyward using ionosondes, curious about whether the ionosphere, the charged upper layer of Earth's atmosphere, would simply vanish during 6 months of darkness. The result? To their shock, the ionosphere persisted, quietly glowing even when the sun was gone, a discovery that reshaped how we understand Earth's invisible shield. Meanwhile, climatologists measure ice cores, seismologists tune into tremors traveling through the planet, and atmospheric researchers monitor shifts that ripple far beyond the poles, influencing weather patterns across the globe. It's a paradox. Places so empty of human life are overflowing with knowledge about all life. And it begs the question, how far would you go? How cold would you endure just to uncover the secrets of our world and the universe beyond? Of course, all the groundbreaking science in the world means nothing if the people can't hold it together. That's why surviving in the Arctic isn't just about heaters, food drops, or fancy instruments. It's about the mind. Before anyone earns a spot on a winter-over crew, they go through psychological screening. After all, not everyone is cut out for months of darkness, no escape routes, and the same 12 faces day after day. Mental preparedness is just as vital as thermal gear. Could you handle 6 months without sunlight, knowing help can't reach you? Once the doors are shut for winter, coping becomes an art form. Some dive into lectures and self-study, treating the station as a floating classroom. Others turn boredom into creativity, repurposing junk into makeshift gadgets or even decorations, because a little novelty can spark joy in an otherwise gray routine. Humor becomes medicine. A prank, a silly tradition, or even laughing at frozen eyelashes can keep despair at bay. Camaraderie is the glue. Shared meals, late-night talks, and laughter keep spirits alive when the cold presses in. Today's resilience was born from pioneers like the 1957 Amundsen Scott crew, 18 crazy men and a dog who braved harsher conditions with courage and stubborn determination. They laid the groundwork, learning how to build shelters that wouldn't collapse, how to ration supplies, and how to keep spirits alive when the sun disappeared. Their mistakes became blueprints. Their endurance became legend. Without their daring, today's Arctic and Antarctic stations simply wouldn't exist. It's a humbling reminder. The modern comforts inside today's frozen outposts aren't just technology. They're a legacy of human trial and error carved into the ice. What began as reckless bravery has evolved into a dance between science and survival. At -70 degrees Celsius or -94 degrees Fahrenheit, every breath is resistance. Every discovery, a triumph. The Arctic isn't just frozen wilderness. It's humanity proving we can endure the impossible. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like more updates, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so you don't miss any videos and get notifications on time. Don't hesitate to give suggestions for our videos. See you at the next one.